But I'm a player and there's no my women riding for me. I avoided Maury, I got 2 jets. If I can't make it through for them, then I'm useless. Sit down that roof, Chris, with a couple bosses. After the war, just to count our losses. It's not many. You see a smile on my face, but I'm not friendly. Gun on my waist, sipping white Henny. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on this war in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in this war in my whole life. My whole it's life. So melodic. When I be dropping this ebonics, this ghetto phonics, it got me on the level supersonic. My bomb atomic, and you know where you can find me. Somewhere probably folding this paper origami. My name is pure as the Sani. My wave is like a tsunami. I went from 0 to 100, feeling like Ricky Bobby. I made a deal with the Reaper. Got a couple wives, they some keepers. Talk a lot of shit, but you can't walk a mile in my sneakers. Bitches go to Miami, come home with change features. Now she got a BBL, her ass fatter. Trying to show up all them niggas that laughed at her. Now when they see her, they only wanna fuck her. They just wanna touch her, they don't wanna cuff her. They just wanna come and kick it with her like a punter. Turned her to a runner, now it's all aboard the train. Fenty on her face, but it's not concealing the pain, it's a shame. So I'm in the hood like some rap snacks. I know niggas kill you and your mama for a scat pack. Dark tint, matte black, they do it for half that. Had you like 90s Missy in a fucking trash bag. I'm from Philly, we don't do bank accounts, just cash app. I spit a verse and I just watch the time slow. This that guy flow, this that shit that rappers die for. This that uncut Tahoe Wall straight from Pablo Escobar. I be at the bar like Moscato. They think it's effort, but no, this that block work. Make the countermeasures, take pleasures, making a op hurt. Light is in the sky, cause every verse is a concert. My mind work at speed jump, can't fathom. Listen to the words of a champion. It can't, the streets need another anthem. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on this war in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in this war in my whole life. My whole life.
Shalom, Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah, Barak Thumb to the brothers watching. Yahweh Shemal Thumb by Shem Yahweh Shah to the sisters watching. This is the ISUPK started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching that Blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians are the chosen people of God. You tuned in, ISUPK, Kentucky, Maine, under Commanding General Yohana. And tonight is our Monday night history class. Before we get started, I want to make sure everybody's tuned in to ISUPK Kentucky weekly content. Of course, Monday nights we got the history class 9 p.m. every Monday, Lord willing. Tuesday night brotherhood class 7 p.m. Wednesday night you got the podcast, Cry Out, Spare Not podcast. That's 9 p.m. every Wednesday. And Saturday morning you got the Sabbath service. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday morning. So tonight, we finna get into the origins of Memorial Day. All right, it's Memorial Day weekend. I know folks out doing their thing or whatever, but we finna get into the real history of Memorial Day. And as usual, this is only going to be dropped. You finna get in the UPK and the Commander General Yohana. If it's not 1 West, if it's not ISUPK, you just not the truth. That's that. I mean, you just not the truth. All right, if you wear purple, if you got friends on your t-shirt, whatever, you just not the truth. So tonight, ISUPK Kentucky Monday night history class, the origins of Memorial Day. So we finna give a quick backdrop tonight. We finna talk about the Civil War, We're finna talk about what actually happened during the Civil War. And then after the Civil War, we finna get into how Memorial Day actually started. All right, so let's go ahead and work. ISUPK, Kentucky, and the Commander General. All right, the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. We need to understand that white folks don't have an American culture to speak of. All right, everything that makes America run is actually the culture and the history and the contributions of Blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians. All right, Tex-Mex. All right, Tex-Mex is the most popular food in America. All right, Tex-Mex is the most popular food in America. All right, when white folks got here in the 1600s, they were eating each other. It's been proof of cannibalism in the Jamestown settlement. All right, historians found proof of cannibalism in the Jamestown settlement. And now today, the most popular food in the United States is Israelite custom. All right, it's Israelite food. All right. All of the music that we listen to, every genre of American music is Black and indigenous culture. All right. So the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. All right. Now, Memorial Day comes out of people wanting to give honor to those that died in the Civil War. All right. Of all the misconceptions about the American Civil War, perhaps is its very name. One of the most common names is the war between the states. However, biased Northern writers and other revisionist historians began using the labels slave states for the South and free states for the North, while ignoring the fact that 20% of slaves were held in these northern states. Now, this is one of the biggest rumors. This is one of the biggest falsehoods, rather, about the Civil War. And the biggest falsehood about the Civil War is that the northern states actually gave a damn about slavery. All right. We actually believe that there was an entire group of good white folks up north that actually gave a damn about slavery either way. All right. These northern states had 20% of America's slaves. All right. Matter of fact, New Jersey was the last state to officially abolish slavery, January 23rd, 1866. All right, New Jersey was not in the Confederacy. All right, New Jersey was not in the Confederacy, but it was the last state to officially abolish slavery, January 23rd, 1866. That's where. All right, after Juneteenth and the end of the Civil War, Delaware took no action to make slavery unlawful. Those enslaved in Delaware remained in bondage until December 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified. All right. Delaware had slaves in bondage a full 6 months after Juneteenth. A full 6 months after Galveston, Texas was liberated. All right. So one of the biggest falsehoods about the Civil War is that somehow white folks up north are better. Is somehow white folks up north don't hate us. All right. And I say it all the time. White folks is the devil, north, south, east, west, Republican, Democrat. All right. White folks is the devil regardless. All right. Let's work. All right. Not only did he think they should not be equal citizens, Abraham Lincoln wished them removed from the United States. My first impulse would be to free all slaves and send them to Liberia. Now, this was the thing. All right. Abraham Lincoln wanted us out of here. Abraham Lincoln wanted us on the first thing smoking to Africa, on the first thing smoking to Liberia. The problem was, by the time the Civil War broke out, all right, it was illegal internationally to ship slaves across the Atlantic Ocean. You had this thing called the Slave Embargo Act. All right, since 1809, it was illegal to ship slaves across the Atlantic. So that's the only reason that people like Abraham Lincoln and other abolitionists, the only reason they wanted to free slaves is because it was illegal to deport a slave. So the only way to deport us would be to free us from slavery first. That's the only reason that these white northern abolitionists gave a damn about slavery. They gave a damn about ending slavery because it was the only way to legally deport us to Africa. All right, so that's another misconception about the Civil War. All right, December 3rd, 1861, Lincoln urged Congress to appropriate money for the deportation of black folks. All right, American Colonization Society was established to address the prevailing view that free people of color could not integrate into U.S. society. The population had grown steadily following the Revolution. White Americans believed that blacks were inferior and therefore should be relocated. When it said white Americans believed that blacks were inferior and should be relocated, these were your white northern abolitionists. These were your white northerners. White northerners believed that we were inferior and should be relocated. All right, this is where your back to Africa movements are going to come from. All right, this whole back to Africa concept, Pan-Africanism, is not black culture. All right, the repatriation movement, the back to Africa movement, all of this comes from white northerners that believed we were inferior and wanted to deport us. But by this time in American history, it was illegal to deport slaves. You can only deport free people. All right, let's work. There could be no question that Lincoln's purpose in the war was definitely not to free slaves. In his inaugural speech, March 1st, 1861, the president said, "I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery." Abraham Lincoln, March 4th, 1861, "I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery." Another falsehood about the American Civil War was that Lincoln actually cared about black folks. All right, Lincoln said, "I have no purpose to interfere with the institution of slavery." Immediately following secession, Lincoln and the U.S. Congress offered the Confederacy the Corwin Amendment, which guaranteed permanent slavery forever if the seceding states would only return to the Union. So once the Confederacy broke off and started their own country, Lincoln said, "You know what? If y'all come back, I'll guarantee permanent slavery forever." Does this sound like these white northerners really gave a damn? Or are you starting to see that white folks is the devil, north, south, east, west, Democrat, or Republican? All right, guaranteed permanent slavery forever if they would return to the Union. All right, Lincoln went on to fire Secretary of War because he advocated making soldiers out of black folks. See, Lincoln didn't even want us in those blue uniforms. They thought we were so inferior that he didn't even want us in those damn uniforms. But the Confederacy knew better. The Confederacy knew better. And because of black and indigenous soldiers, at one point during the Civil War, the Confederacy actually had the advantage. All right, that's another misconception about the Civil War, is that the North just ran through there. Is that the Union just put belt to ass and that was that. But the truth is that for the longest time, the Confederacy actually had the upper hand. All right, the Confederacy had black and indigenous soldiers. The Confederacy had the money. The Confederacy had the resources. All right, first Louisiana Native Guard was the Confederate Louisiana militia that consisted of free Creoles of color, formed in 1861 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Some of the unit's members later became the 73rd Regiment Infantry of the United States Colored Troops. What's going to happen, and what was the turning point of the war, is that the Confederacy ended up flipping on some of their soldiers in Kansas. And you're going to see a lot of Black and indigenous soldiers that used to fight for the Confederacy flip sides to the Union, and that became the turning point in the war. All right, Creoles of color were free and enjoyed many of the privileges that whites did, including property ownership, education, service in the militia, and during the antebellum period, wealthier and prosperous Creoles of color even owned slaves. So you actually had a small amount of Black slave owners in the Confederacy. All right, now this is the first lady of the Confederacy. This is Verena Davis. She was a longtime wife of President Jefferson Davis. All right, this was the first lady of the Confederacy, and her critics described her as looking like a mulatto or an Indian squaw. And you got eyes, you can see. All right, this is the first lady of the Confederacy. At the same time, Lincoln was trying to deport Black folks. This was the first lady of the Confederacy. All right, Alexander Stephens, all right, was the vice president under Jefferson Davis. All right, here's a source, Confederate Congress of the Virginia Secession Convention. Mr. Stephens impressed me at this time as a remarkable man. In personal appearance, he was very slender, his swarthy complexion, and he weighed less than 100 pounds. This was the description of the vice president of the Confederacy under President Jefferson Davis. And this was his family. This was his family. All right, Robert E. Lee. Here's your source, Congressional Record Proceedings and Debates of the 90th Congress, Second Secession. Robert E. Lee decided on a military career at a very early age. In fact, as a young boy, he decided he would go to West Point. He finally ended up there when he was 18 in 1825. When he entered West Point, he had a dark complexion, gray eyes, and weighed 180 pounds. This is General Robert E. Lee. Now, he had a half-brother named Alfred Lee. All right, Chicago Tribune, July 20th, 1868. A wealthy colored man who recently died at Georgetown was the half-brother of General Robert E. Lee, leader of the rebel army. Now, I'm not making any statements. All right. I'm just showing sources from this time period. All right. Alfred Lee, the wealthy colored man who recently died in Georgetown, was the half-brother of General Robert E. Lee, leader of the rebel armies. Now, General Robert E. Lee, we just read in the previous source, it said he had a dark complexion. So who is this? Let's work. All right. While contemporary critics and some modern historians agree that Lee's history was whitewashed after the Civil War. Again, I'm not making any claims. I'm not making any statements. I'm just pulling sources. Let's work. Perhaps the most definitive statement Lincoln made by concerning slavery's connection with the war came in an interview with the famous journalist Horace Greeley 2 years after the conflict had begun. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union. It is not to save or destroy slavery. He went on to say that if he could save the Union by keeping slavery, he would do so. This war was definitely not about freeing slaves. Like I said, New Jersey was the last state to formally abolish slavery. New Jersey was the last state to formally abolish slavery. So Abraham Lincoln, in a correspondence with Horace Greeley. Sidebar, Horace Greeley, he worked with the Smithsonian, and one of his jobs was to hide a lot of the history of indigenous people in North America. Sidebar, you can look it up. But in a correspondence between Lincoln and Horace Greeley, he said, my paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union. It is not to save or destroy slavery. If he could save the Union by keeping slavery, he would do so. And now we come to the real cause of the war. The real cause of the Civil War was about money. All wars have been about money or the transfer of riches and territory. This economic factor should never be ignored. Shortly after the Revolutionary War, the United States decided to transfer all state war debts to the federal government. This was a great benefit to the North. Their states were freed from massive debt, now paid by the central government. The primary way the U.S. government had to raise funds was via tariffs. Since we know that this current president is going tariff crazy. All right, the primary way the U.S. government had to raise funds was via tariffs, mostly from Southern resources. Again, the South has always had the resources. The South has always had the resources. All right, that's the only reason. That's the only reason that Andrew Jackson invaded what was called, who ended up being called the 5 civilized tribes in the South. The only reason he invaded the South was because the South had the resources. And he wanted to build a road from Old Indian Territory in the South, from Cherokee Territory, all the way to New Orleans. But he had to go through the South to do it. All right, that's the only way, that's the only reason that Andrew Jackson wanted to go through the South. All right, the South has always had the resources. All right, William Grayson, one of Virginia's first U.S. senators, warned that the South would become the milk cow of the Union. All right, source Thomas H. Benton, 1828, the South must be exhausted of its money and its property by a course of legislation, which is forever taken away and never returned to anything. All right, the cause of the war was about money. By 1860, 90% of federal revenue came from the Southern export trade. 90% of federal revenue came from the Southern export trade. Now you see why Lincoln was terrified. Now you see why Lincoln was terrified when the Confederate States broke away and started their own country. That's why Lincoln said, okay, you know what? We'll have permanent slavery forever if y'all just come back. Because by 1860, 90% of federal revenue came from the Southern export trade. All right. Now, I said that the Confederacy had Black and indigenous soldiers long before the Union did. All right. Trail of Blood on Ice, 1861, occurring in Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma. This tragic winter campaign involved pro-Union American Indians and other freedmen attempting to escape to Union lines in Kansas. All right, there was a situation that happened, and you had certain Confederates that flipped on their soldiers and tried to basically hunt them down until these folks got to Kansas. Now, when they got to Kansas, at this time, Lincoln noticed that, damn, we need to get some blacks in these uniforms. Lincoln said, you know what? We need to get some black folks, some Indian folks, whoever, because the Confederacy is whooping our ass right now. So the formation of the United States Colored Troops, 1863, the Union Army officially established the United States Colored Troops via General Order 143. This allowed freedmen to officially enlist and fight for the Union. Many of those who had left Confederate-held territories included those who survived the Indian Territory exodus and the refugee camps in Kansas. We just talked about it. All right, it was called the Trail of Blood on Ice, where former Black Confederates were flipping sides to the Union. All right, enlisted in the USCT and fought for the liberation of their people. The United States Colored Troops primarily comprised of Black soldiers during the Civil War and also included American Indians who were all considered colored at this time. Again, this situation that happened in the Confederacy, it happened in Indian Territory. It happened in Oklahoma. So you had Black and indigenous people that were trying to get to Kansas. By the time we got to Kansas, During this time in the war, Lincoln finally realized that the reason the Confederacy was winning is because they had us. So 1863, Lincoln said, fuck it. This is the only way we're finna get this done. So these refugees that were coming out of Kansas, these black and indigenous refugees that were coming out of Kansas, joined the United States colored troops. All right, United States colored troops played a crucial role in battles against Native American Confederates and often distinguished themselves with bravery and valor. Here's the U.S. colored troops. The last Confederate general to surrender during the Civil War was Stan Wadey, who surrendered his command of Cherokee and Osage troops at Dokesville near Forts County, Indian Territory, June 23rd, 1865. All right, this was the last Confederate general to surrender. All right, another misconception about the Civil War, we hear about General Robert Lee surrendering at Appomattox. That was the end of the Civil War. No, the last general to surrender was a Confederate Cherokee named Stan Wadey. All right, a Confederate Cherokee Indian named Stan Wadey was the last Confederate to surrender, and he surrendered his troops to the United States colored troops. All right, so black and indigenous people actually won the Civil War. All right, black and indigenous people actually won the Civil War. All right, black soldiers delivered the news of the end of slavery, were met with resistance from residents, leading to fighting, arrest of judges, sheriffs, and farmers who refused to accept that the North had won the Civil War. Right, 28th Regiment, United States Colored Troops, an all-black regiment recruited in Indiana that helped liberate enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, June 19th, 1865. Now, imagine the bravery of these people. All right, this was an all-black regiment in Indiana. All right, Indiana is Klan country. Indiana is Klan country. So you have an all-black regiment recruited in Indiana that actually went down into Galveston and liberated enslaved people. Galveston, Texas, June 19, 1865. This is where Juneteenth actually comes from. And here's your all-black regiment that came out of Indiana. So again, the United States colored troops won the Civil War. If it was not for black and indigenous people that Lincoln initially didn't even want. Remember, these white Northerners said that we were inferior and need to be deported. All right, Lincoln was trying to send us to Liberia. But by 1863, he said, you know what? I changed my mind, goddammit. I changed my mind. And because of that, black and indigenous people, 1863, started the United States colored troops, won the Civil War, and that's that. Again, I started class with a quote. The most effective way to destroy your people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of history. All right. If you never heard any of these things about the American Civil War that we talked about today, if you've never heard this, it's for a reason. All right. The most effective way to destroy your people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. All right, let's work. So now Civil War is over. Civil War is over. And again, the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own history. The reason we've never heard these things is because the history that we're given comes from here. All right, 28th President Woodrow Wilson, he wrote a volume of American history, all right, from first contact up through the Civil War. All right, Woodrow Wilson wrote a volume of American history, starting with first contact all the way up to the American Civil War. And he was a Klan supporter. he actually showed the very first movie in the White House, The Birth of a Nation. And he had hooked up with an organization called the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and they rewrote Civil War history. They rewrote Civil War history, wrote us out of it, wrote all contributions out of it, and then that's why we have the version of the American Civil War that we do. All right, a Klan supporter, President Woodrow Wilson, hooked up with an organization called the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and that is the reason why we have the version of the Civil War that we do. That's the reason why most of us have never heard that the United States colored troops actually won the Civil War. That's why most of us have never heard that the last Confederate general to surrender was a Cherokee Indian. All right, because our contributions to the Civil War was written out of history. And of course, our contribution to Memorial Day was written out of history. All right, Black folks may have started Memorial Day, whites erased it from history. At the close of the Civil War, people recently freed from slavery in Charleston honored fallen Union soldiers. Our Memorial Day was born out of necessity. After the American Civil War, a battered United States was faced with the task of burying and honoring 600,000 to 800,000 Union and Confederate soldiers who had died in the bloodiest military conflict in American history. Now, sidebar, that's not true. All right, the bloodiest war in American history was the American Indian Wars. From first contact all the way up through the Plains Wars. All right, the longest wars in American history was the wars that indigenous people had with the colonists. Sidebar. All right. So a battered United States was faced with the task of burying and honoring 600,000 to 800,000 Union and Confederate soldiers. Several towns and cities across America claimed to have observed their early own version of Memorial Day, then known as Decoration Day. The holiday's original name is derived from the fact that decorating graves was and remains central to the tradition. But it wasn't a remarkable discovery in a dusty Harvard University archive, late 1990s, that historians learned about Memorial Day commemoration organized by a group of Black people freed from enslavement less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. The event in Charleston is the first Memorial Day observance in the country. Back in 1996, David Blight, a professor of history and Black studies at Yale, was researching a book on the Civil War when he had one of the most once-in-a-career eureka moments. Curator at Harvard Houghton Library asked if he wanted to look through 2 boxes of unsorted material from Union veterans. There was a file labeled First Decoration Day, and it's still amazed at his good fortune. And inside on a piece of cardboard was a narrative handwritten by an old veteran, plus a date referenced in an article in the New York Tribune. When Charleston fell and Confederate troops evacuated, Black people freed from enslavement remained. One of the first things those emancipated men and women did was to give the fallen Union prisoners a proper burial. They exhumed the mass grave and reinterred the bodies in a new cemetery with the tall whitewashed fence inscribed with the words "Martyrs of the Racecourse." And then on May 1st, 1865, something even more extraordinary happened. According to 2 reports that Blight found in the New York Tribune and in the Charleston Courier, a crowd of 10,000 people, mostly freed slaves, staged a parade around a racetrack. Members of the famed 54th Massachusetts and other Black Union regiments were in attendance and performed a double-time march. Black ministers recited verses from the Bible. If the news reports are accurate, the 1865 gathering at the Charleston racetrack would be the earliest Memorial Day on record. Blight excitedly called the Avery Institute of Afro-American History and Culture at the College of Charleston, looking for more information on the historic event. I've never heard of it, they told me. This never happened. All right. So now we have white folks actually trying to hide this history from us. But it was clear from the newspaper reports and that a Memorial Day observance was organized by freed slaves in Charleston at least a year before other cities and 3 years before the first national observance. How had this been lost to history for over a century? Well, we know why. This was a story that had really been suppressed both in the local memory and certainly the national. But nobody who had witnessed it could have ever forgotten it. The only other mention he found of the event was a 1916 correspondence sent from a Women's Civil War Historical Society in New Orleans to its sister chapter in Charleston, asking about a big parade of freed slaves on a horse track at the end of the war. I regret that I was unable to gather any other official information in answer to this, wrote the Charleston Society's president. But such a telling statement, says Black. The woman who wrote that letter may have not known about it, but the fact that she didn't tells the story. All right, Source Time Magazine. So, Memorial Day, May 1st, 1865, a parade to honor the Union War dead took place here. The event marked the earliest celebration of what became known as Memorial Day. The crowd numbered in the thousands, with African-American school children from newly formed freedmen schools. All right. Black folks started Memorial Day. Again, we talked about at the beginning of class, that really nothing about American culture is white culture. All right, from observances like Memorial Day comes out of Black culture. All right, family reunions come from Black culture. All right, all of the musical genres in America is Black and Indigenous culture. All of the entertainment is Black and Indigenous culture. All right, so it shouldn't be it shouldn't be a surprise that something like Memorial Day also comes out of Black culture. Right, again, I talked about at the beginning of class that when colonists first got to Jamestown, Virginia, in the early 1600s, it's been proven that these people were eating each other. All right, this is the culture that they bring. This is the culture that they bring. All right, here's your Union troops. All right, let's drop that. Let's drop that and get into the Bible. We're going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 13. Matthew 15 and 13. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and be trodden under foot of men. So the Bible is calling us, all right, Blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians, Black and Indigenous people, that we're the salt of the earth. All right. We're the ones that give this place flavor. All right. Without Black and Indigenous people, the United States would be nothing. With all of our contributions to every American war and all of our contributions to inventions, with all of our contributions to science, to the medical field, all right, to the Black women that were responsible for the calculations to put the first men on the moon, with all of our contributions in entertainment, all right, we are the salt of the earth. Like I said, we're the ones that give flavor to this place. Without Black and Indigenous people, the United States would be hell, I don't know, some pick a shithole country in Europe. Without Black and Indigenous people, America would be like any shithole country in Europe. All right, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. All right. We just read about how white folks hid the history of Memorial Day. All right. But something like that can't be hid forever. All right. That was hid all the way up into the 1990s. From 1865 all the way to the 1990s. All right. But a city set on a hill cannot be hid. All right. Our contributions to this place can't be hid. We've done too much. We've done too much. All right. Our contributions to American culture can't even be numbered. You can't even be numbered. All right. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill could not be hid. Verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. All right. These people have tried to hide our light under a bushel. All right, because they know we're the culture of this place. All right, they know we're the culture of this place. All right, rap music is the most popular music genre in the whole world. Matter of fact, the top 4 musical genres in the whole world is all American music. But these people have tried to put our candle under a bushel because they know on a candlestick it's going to light the whole house. All right, verse 16. So let your light shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. All right, the Lord said, look, let that shit shine, man. Let that shit shine. We are the culture of America. All right, Blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians, we are the culture of America. Even the U.S. flag, we designed it. Right, we even designed the U.S. flag. All right, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. All right, let's drop that. Let's go to Judah chapter 5, verse 20. Because you're going to have people say, well, if we're so great and we invented everything, and if we're really the culture of America, why are we at the bottom of society? Let's go to the book of Judah, chapter 5, verse 20. The book of Judah, chapter 5, verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. So our enemies have always known, because they know the history of Egypt. All right, they knew that the Lord destroyed Egypt because of us. All right, Egypt is famous for 2 things: slavery and destruction. All right, the United States is known for 2 things. Well, one thing right now is slavery, but soon it's going to be known for destruction too. But our enemies have always known that if we sin against God, that's going to be our destruction. If we sin against God, then these people know that they can run up on us and overcome us. All right, it says, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. We've been overcome by our enemy because we sinned against God. Because we sinned against God, no matter how great we are, that's going to be our destruction every single time. And that's how we're in the bottom of society. Even though American culture is ours, even though we're the culture of America, we are what's made America. Without us, America would be like any other shithole country in Europe. But because we sin against our God, these people have overcome us, and that's it. Verse 21, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be before them, and we shall be and we become a reproach before all the world. So if we sin against God, the nations are going to overcome us. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, all right, if we're keeping the commandments of God, he said, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. All right. If there's no sin in our nation, if we're keeping the commandments of God, then the Lord is going to be an enemy to our enemy. So, are we the culture of America? Yes. And that's great. All right. Have we given America everything? Yes. Have we invented everything? Yes. But it means nothing if we're not keeping the commandments. All right. No matter how much flavor we give this place, no matter how much soul we give this place, no matter how much culture we give this place, if we're not keeping the commandments of God, it means nothing. But if there be no iniquity, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. If we keep the commandments, the Bible says God is going to be an enemy to our enemies. Right, let's drop that. Amos 3:2. Amos 3:2. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities. All right, the Lord said he only knows us. All right, blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians. The Lord only knows us. So therefore, we get punished for our iniquity. And what's the punishment for our iniquities? That the greatest people in the world are being controlled by half a caveman. All right, the greatest people on earth had been overrun by half a caveman. People that were barely wearing clothes 600 years ago. Some of them was walking on all fours 1,000 years ago. Half a damn caveman is ruling over the greatest people that ever walked the face of this earth. Why? Because we sinned against God. We sinned against God. All right, drop that. Let's go to Proverbs 16:7. Because I hear this a lot too. Because, people know that, white folks be bowing down on all fours, kissing our boots, right? Putting money in the collection bucket, right? And, some people, some folks are shocked. How do y'all talk like this? How do y'all talk like this? How do y'all act like this? Right? You got other people that's like the INFAC, whoever those people are. They did a big march in Louisville, Kentucky, and one of them shot themselves in the leg. All right. The Bible says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him. So that's why you see, brothers and sisters in the UPK, we don't have the issues other people have. We don't have the issues other people have. Right? The Bible says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him. All right, so let's drop that. Let's go ahead and end it. All right, appreciate y'all hanging out with me, man, soaking up some of this game. Of course, ISUPK Kentucky under Commander General Hunter. All right, Lord willing, I'll be on the mic every Monday. All right, dropping this history for y'all. All right, Monday night history class, 9 p.m. Tuesday night, 7 p.m., we got the Brotherhood class. All right, come get the best biblical breakdowns in the state of Kentucky. Wednesday night, 9 p.m., Cry Out, Spare Not podcast. All right, the baddest podcast in Kentucky, the podcast that breaks down every other podcast. And Saturday morning, we got the Sabbath service. So with that, before we end it, we'll read the security announcements. All right, security announcements. We are the ISUPK started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. Another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We are currently in the Feast of First Fruits all the way until Sunday, May 31st. With that, we'll do one courtesy salute. Shalom. Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shabbarakathon. Yahweh Shemalathon B'Shem Yahweh Shah. With that, class is dismissed.
Selling dope to black men, but now I'm trying to make it straight. Like, don't forget about my. Oh, hey, I don't give a lovely fuck about what them bitches gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't give a lovely fuck about what them niggas gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't care about what they say. Hey. Fuck with my Akima, fuck with my sisters, then I got a problem, I'm never gonna miss you. I got 100 hanging out the AR, I got a 50 hanging out the pistol. He say it's corner, I'm just being realistic. I be on them corner posted with the realest. If it's the Sabbath, then we going fishing. I'm reeling them in, that's a God-given mission. I'm really on 10, but I'm stamped in the pistol. I get the order, be glad of this mission. Hebrew Academy graduate, nigga. Training, go through the baddest conditions. I don't fuck with none but the baddest of bitches. She righteous, submissive, she glad to be with me. Had that thing Putin like Batman, nigga. She know I'm a prophet, she gotta be listening. Disrespect, I ain't having that shit. Tell her go make some business from scratch. She bitchin' the different breed of black men. We don't do the back bend. I remember back when I was really trapping, trying to get the racks in, selling dope to black men. But now I'm trying to make it straight. Like, don't forget about my face. We standing up straight, can't fold us. Too heavy, the world won't hold us. Go get you some rank, I told you. Line up in these ranks, we soldier. You can take that to the bank, we focus on. How many times must we remind you? One body, one way, some break off, but never take off as a flex. When the law with you ain't no up next. It's just us, nigga, that's that on that. All that weak shit, that ain't no threat. Say you won't beat, bitch, with that ain't no sweat. We with all that. The Lord called a nigga out the world. I responded and called back. Oh Lord. And everything that they stole from us, fuck that shit, we want all that. Them niggas snitching and they act like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come on, the command and general, your hunter, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. That's why we unaffiliated with them. I cannot fuck around with fake niggas. We taking ground, we in your city. You better have the women, have the liquor. Keep that bitch on me, please don't butt the system. Don't be a fool and be another victim. Say you a goon, you just another Christian. How you my brother, you ain't in here with me. We in the gutter, deep down in the trenches. We with them niggas locked up in the prison. Fucking Hispanic, Native American, Indian. We ain't just talking shit, but we living in it. We be everywhere, you can't miss it. And we be fresh as hell, take a picture. And we special now with the scriptures. Play, we gon' script them, yeah, we some killers. These niggas tripping, they mind blown. Swear business, forgive me if I'm wrong. I think that it pause when niggas say that they be looking for niggas to slide on. The only slide that I know about is when I assemble the Glock with the slide on. Real, I get the order, you know that it's slaughter. See me and my niggas gon' die. The bigger the better for kingdom of heaven. You niggas get wet up by me cause I'm fed up. I rep UPK. My niggas won't let up. Got choppers, got nines, AKs, Berettas. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like, bitch, or whatever. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like. My nigga like, them niggas snitching and they act like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come on, the command and general, your hunter, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Yeah. See, they always ask us like, why y'all don't fuck with such and such? Why y'all won't come together with such and such? I be like, we unaffiliated with them. Understand me? Like, niggas be out here on some weirdo shit. And to be honest, that's why we unaffiliated with them. Hey, that's why we unaffiliated with them. Yeah. Oh.
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put millions of my Should a murderer go to jail for murdering?
Absolutely.
Should a thief go to jail when he steals?
Absolutely.
Should a robber pay back the money he robbed?
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did?
That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. The fact that them here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angels, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles and make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. Dog, it's a dog. Payback
ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Von Dale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mass shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through it. And the damn by king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
You see just how